same format will work as before. All candidates will respond to all questions. And just a reminder to make sure your cell phones are still turned off in case you had to check them during our brief break. So don't want you to be called out or anything. Candidates receive 2 minutes for opening, 1 minute for closing, 1 minute to respond to questions, and 30-second rebuttal time. And we will start first with opening statement from Mr. Corbett.
Thank you. And thank all of you for coming tonight. I'm Mike Corbett. I'm running for mayor of Noblesville because I believe that Noblesville has a lot of potential and we're not achieving that potential, and it's because of the lack of leadership in the mayor's office. I'm a publisher, a small business person. I publish magazines. I have a business magazine and a visitor's guide, which incidentally has instructions on how to drive in a roundabout, believe it or not. But of course that's your but through my business, I'm involved in the community. I belong to all 6 Hamilton County Chambers of Commerce. I'm president of the Noblesville Preservation Alliance, president of the Noblesville Midday Rotary Club, past president of Promising Futures, the formerly Hamilton Center's Youth Service Bureau, and I serve on a number of other committees, Main Street and so forth. I live right down the street in a 150-year-old house. I have a wife and 5 children. One of whom is out of college, 3 are in college, and one of whom will be graduating from Noblesville High School next year. I have an MBA and an intense interest in business, and frankly, my interest in business is a lot of what's driving this campaign. I really believe that we need to step up our efforts to recruit businesses to Noblesville. Not only out in the corporate campus, but in downtown. We need to invest in our infrastructure, and we need to improve the business climate, make Noblesville a much more business-friendly community. You're going to hear a lot tonight about how great Noblesville is, and let's face it, the quality of life here is pretty good. We win awards, and we place very highly on top 10, top 100 lists, but frankly, I think we're losing ground, and I think in order to start catching up again, we're going to have to improve the situation. I think things can actually be a lot better here. And I will offer the energy, the ambition, and the vision to make Noblesville better. I look forward to telling you more about it here in the next few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
Thank you. I love my job. I love serving you, the citizens of Noblesville, and I have the leadership skills. We have accomplished a lot during our tenure, and I have the vision to continue forward. I have served Noblesville for over 40 years in many capacities, too many to mention. However, my peers have elected me the president of the school board, the Noblesville Chamber of Commerce, and the Boys and Girls Club. I'm also elected by elected officials of the state of Indiana to serve as their president of the Indiana Cities and Towns Organization. I have built a strong team of excellent professional people that are inspired, motivated to serve you each and every day. And I'm very proud of what we have been able to do. I brought the motto, serving Noblesville one person at a time, and myself and each of our employees take that very, very seriously. We've, in accomplishments, we've brought dozens of jobs, thousands of jobs actually, and dozens of businesses to Noblesville during the last 8 years. We have remained very fiscally strong. We have cut our budget along with our income, and we have also raised the bond rating of Noblesville. We've invested in our community heavily. 146th Street, we spent $7.5 million downtown, and we have numerous road projects and several roundabouts to show for that. In the future, we must continue and not to be complacent, but move forward as we have in the past. We need to fill our corporate campus. I resolve again to keep our city financially strong, and I also will help and be the best place to work, live, and play. Tonight, if you think that things have happened by accident, that are good and have happened only by accident or not by leadership, I would ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. We'll start off with a street and road question just for fun. What proposal do you have to improve the unsafe, impossible, dangerous sidewalks and streets of Logan? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
That's a rather dramatic description. We do have a plan relative to streets and sidewalks. Logan is a special street, and it is very challenging. We did hear about that earlier, but from Mr. O'Connor, Connor. Logan does have the historic bricks. Some of them are the original bricks, and it is a challenge. Again, I think we need to get with the residents to see what they want. I know that was done a number of years ago, and it was heavily decided by the citizens to keep that a brick street. However, with financial situation, et cetera, we want to improve it, but I don't think replacing the bricks is going to be fit financially or responsible.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
I believe that also Logan Street should keep its character as a brick street. However, I would say that our infrastructure in Old Town Noblesville does need more attention. I would be in favor of putting more resources toward improving the sidewalks on Logan Street and all the other streets downtown as well. Actually, as I was campaigning on Logan Street one day, I ran into somebody who's actually fixing his curb. He has been appealing to the city to fix his curb for years, he said, and he didn't. He finally just gave up and decided to do it himself. We need to put city resources toward that. City needs to take care of those streets.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds. Mr. Ditslear.
Well, I just point out that in the last 4 years, we have spent $130,000 more on Old Town in infrastructure, bridges, streets, curbs, et cetera, than previous. So we have made an effort to spend more money and attention in Old Town.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds.
Nothing further.
Thank you. I have 3 questions concerning downtown. And so I will, I'm going to try to combine them to the best of my ability. What ideas will you bring to the table to further improve historic downtown Noblesville, drawing in new businesses, the arts, and improving community involvement? And the questioner, this particular questioner has said that has a feeling that businesses are trying to get the community involved downtown, that is unsure like whether the local government has made it a priority. So I'll just, with that question, so what ideas will you bring to the table to further improve historic downtown Noblesville, drawing in new businesses, the arts, and improving community involvement? That's the main question, and that goes to you first, Mr. Corbett.
I sit on the board of Main Street, which is very involved in trying to lure not only more businesses, but cultural opportunities to downtown as well. I do believe that by improving the environment down there, improving our infrastructure, making it more appealing to people, it will entice more businesses to come into downtown Noblesville. Long term, I would love to see some kind of performing arts facility in downtown Noblesville as well. I think that's part of what makes the downtown the kind of destination that we'd like it to be. Both the mayor and I this afternoon were at the on South 8th Street at the Judge Stone House, which is a terrific start to starting to improve the arts community and make it more of a destination along the Nickel Plate Arts Trail. I'm in favor of all that. I would make sure that we put more resources toward it.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
Well, I think part of the question, and I will answer it this way certainly, first, in the last 8 years, let's talk about what we have done in downtown. I mentioned investing $7.6 million in downtown. The facade grants are new, the signage is new, the streets have been improved, and much has happened in downtown. We were instrumental in getting the visitor center here to have restrooms downtown. Most businesses have been successful. We work very well, support Main Street, that works very well with downtown. And from a cultural standpoint, certainly the historic Judge Stone House and the 8th Street corridor has been much improved in the last year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
I would just mention that I think we also need to start implementing the downtown strategic action plan that involves embracing the river. I think the river could end up being a very important part of the future of downtown. I would like to see more development on the west side, and I would focus on that.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear, 30 seconds.
I know it's been said the downtown strategic plan is on the shelf, and that is totally not true. There were 7 strategies in that plan, and all of them have been addressed. The one that we have not been as successful on as we would like to be is the calling for a public-private partnership. And obviously, because of the to develop additional things downtown. Due to the economy, the private sector is gone, and the public sector, frankly, has been reduced in budget.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. I'm going to combine these two questions, and they also still concern downtown.
Sure.
So what are you planning on doing with the shops downtown, and why do you feel that there's general concern about the treatment and care of downtown merchants? What are you planning on doing with the shops downtown, and why do you feel that there is a general concern about the treatment and care of downtown merchants? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Well, first of all, I think I mentioned Main Street as one example, but we at our own, as a city, I think we spend a lot of money in downtown. We keep it very clean. We have a lot of activities to draw to downtown. The street dance is one. The First Friday program is totally new. Jazz Square downtown is totally new. I think we do a lot of things to bring people downtown so that the businesses can prosper and take advantage of those opportunities. Again, we work with Main Street to improve downtown and try to cooperate with all the merchants, large, small, et cetera, in the downtown area.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
I do believe that there's a perception downtown that the city doesn't pay enough attention to them. And I think that there are some infrastructure improvements, certainly sidewalks and that kind of thing that we could improve on. I have gone on record as being the mayor that will figure out how to get rid of the sewer smell downtown, and I'm committed to doing that. I believe that's a detriment. Frankly, it's embarrassing when people come downtown and we can't seem to get rid of that sewer smell.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Anything further, Mr. Ditslear?
No.
Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
No.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, there'll be several questions that are asked that were also asked to council candidates because questioners have directed them both to the mayor and to the council, and so this is one. This is the TIF question. So why keep continuing the Logan Street TIF that pays no taxes to schools? Schools don't receive the money, so like the taxpayers and, TIF districts are a burden on the taxpayers and their properties, and why are there so many TIF districts? And so that goes to you first, Mr. Corbett.
Well, I believe there are so many TIF districts because we've been investing in the corporate campus to try to build the infrastructure that we need in order to lure businesses there. Specifically to the Logan Street TIF district, that actually has been quite successful at luring businesses to Logan Street. And frankly, I don't think TIF districts are necessarily a bad idea. I kind of like the idea that we invest in a certain area and then use the proceeds to continue to invest in it. And we need to invest in the infrastructure on the west side near the Logan Street TIF district. And in fact, I think it entails more than just the west side. But we need to continue to do that, and then we need to reinvest those funds to get more infrastructure so that we can bring more business down there and improve the downtown.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
The Logan Street, I think that was a more specific question, if I'm not mistaken, has been very successful. And again, with those TIF district and Logan Street TIF district, we have improved a lot of things within the downtown area and the west side. And it's been very successful. TIF districts overall are a great economic tool. They do not hurt the taxpayer. They improve tax revenue and entice business to bring jobs to the city of Noblesville for our citizens, and do in fact help our tax base in the long run.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. 30 seconds. Mr. Corbett.
I don't think you're going to hear a whole lot against TIF districts here. I think they can be a very important tool. We need to be careful about how we use them. We don't want to overuse TIF districts. I mean, eventually, if they're overused, it will burden the schools and it will burden the taxpayers. So we need to be careful about how we implement them, but properly use them. If we keep track of them, keep an eye on them, and make sure they're well maintained and well controlled, I think they can be a useful tool.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear. Anything further?
No, thank you.
Okay, our next question is on economic development. Today, the Star reported 8 Indiana companies that announced layoffs of 613 employees. Overall, the economic news is bleak, and companies touted as being brought to Noblesville, they're not really bringing significant jobs or taxes. So in light of that, what economic development plan for Noblesville would you offer, Mr. Ditslear?
I guess that the question did state there was, in answer to your question, we have a great economic development team. I am the economic developer. development person. I worked with my team very hard to bring business to Noblesville. We have brought 13 headquarters to Noblesville. I will name them. I will not take that time, but we've brought 13 in the last several years headquarters and operating centers. Gaylor is the one I'm thinking of there. We were 13 there. We are aggressively approaching others. We have a relationship. We're positioned to even more when we get out of this recession. And we work every day. We, in 2010, put out 77, I think it was, proposals for people to come to Noblesville, and 50 plus to date this year. So we are very aggressive.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
I don't believe that the mayor has the time to pursue the job of economic development director if he's doing his mayoral job correctly. I think the Noblesville is a large enough community where we need a dedicated economic development director that is focused on nothing more than going out and recruiting businesses. We do have a high unemployment rate. Noblesville has the highest unemployment rate in the county, as a matter of fact, and we need to get more aggressive about going out and bringing new businesses to Noblesville.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Anything further? Mr. Ditslear.
I think the facts will prove that we are not the highest in unemployment. We are much below the state, much below the nation, and our unemployment rate is decreasing. We had 2 job fairs to work on that, both for employers and the citizens. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett, anything further?
We do have the highest in the county. There's no disputing that.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. I have 7 questions about the positron deal. Okay. Here we go. First question. Why don't we do a little education first? What is positive and negative about the positron deal? And we'll start with you first, Mr. Corbett.
About the only thing positive about the positron deal is the posit in its name. There really is not. I don't see much of anything that's positive about positron. It was a company that appealed to fishers to pay it, to give it money in order to build a cyclotron and fish down. So they came up here and asked us for money to invest in their company in order for them to be able to build a cyclotron. It's unprecedented. We've never given that kind of tax incentive in the past, or that kind of incentive. It's not even a tax abatement. It takes a step beyond what we've ever done as far as economic development in the past. It puts $7 million at risk, of taxpayer dollars at risk, with almost no guarantee of any return. And I think it's a bad deal, and I think it was a mistake.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
Well, first of all, we did recruit positron. Fishers was never asked to be recruited. I talked to the city manager yesterday. Positron is a molecular energy company that makes isotopes for primarily medical. The new wave of imaging, they are going to invest $55 million in the city of Noblesville. They are bringing 80 jobs at an 80+ rate of salary, and they are will also be a nucleus for many vendors, companies that deal in the health care business as well. Yes, they're an incentive package. We will not give them a dime, nor have we given them a dime, until they have $42 million in the bank and $10 million of building in the ground, at which time a rebate type thing will occur. They will not get the full rebate type thing up to $7 million until the facility is built, is approved by the Department of Energy, and up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. 30 seconds, Mr. Corbett.
The fact is, we do continue to invest in it as it's being built. The $7 million is broken down into 4 installments. They put $10 million in the ground. We give them 1.6. The fact is, our money is at risk before they are up and running, and there is very little chance of getting any kind of monetary return. All we're really doing is hoping that they will lure other businesses around them.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds, Mr. Ditslear.
They will be paying full taxes upon completion of that facility, and it's approximated to be about $750,000 a year in property taxes when they get that facility, as well as the revenue generated by the salaries and income of those employees, and of course the money they spend within our community.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. We're still on positron. A downtown resident questions why Logan Street couldn't be fixed with that $7 million that's going to positron. Would that have benefited the community more instead of being possibly given to a private company? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Well, first of all, the money is coming out of a TIF district. It is not out of the general funds, coming out of the TIF district that has been profitable in generating the money to generate the ability to pay that $7 million. So we're talking apples and oranges in that regard. It is, so the answer is no to that question. But again, it's going to create jobs. It's going to be a nucleus for many, hopefully many facilities that will also come with it. And it's a good situation for Noblesville. And again, we will not give them a dime until they have $42 million in bank and have put $10 million in the ground before they get their first dime.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
Well, regardless of whether it's in a TIF district or not, it's money that taxpayers are going to have to pay back. And that the idea that perhaps that $7 million could have been better spent is a good one. And it's not only on Logan Street. I mean, when you consider you got $7 million, I can think of a lot better ways to lure businesses here that might have a little better chance of success than investing in a company that frankly only has capitalization of $13 million, and we're giving them half of that as an incentive.
30 seconds, thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds, Mr. Ditslear.
No.
Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
No.
Okay, our next positron question. This questioner, and this has been mentioned about the approximately 80 new jobs, I think, at positron. This questioner wants to know whether current positron employees then will lose their jobs, or is this 80 additional positions? And then with a combined question, another questioner has concern that this deal looks a little shady, and they want to have a deeper understanding about why it's going to work for Noblesville, and want to know if other businesses now will ask for millions of dollars. So 3 parts of the question, kind of 2.5. Are there 80 new jobs, or are they additional positions, or will current employees lose their jobs? Can you explain why this deal isn't or is shady, and will new businesses ask for millions now to locate to Noblesville? We'll start with you first, Mr. Corbett.
Well, it would be an expansion in that we don't have positron now. So the 80 positions would be new if they ever materialize. The shady part of it, my understanding is the principals of the company have had some tax issues, some litigation with tax issues. And finally, the last part.
Will other businesses ask for?
Yes, it does. That actually is a very good point. It sets a dangerous precedent. Once you start giving away money like this, it gives other companies the idea that perhaps Noblesville is open for business that way. It was a bad precedent.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
No, those will be 80 new jobs created in Noblesville, Indiana, along with perhaps the opportunity for hundreds of others at this point in time. Shady, I don't think so. Mr. Rooney, actually it was Mr. Rooney's father, had a problem with SEC. We have documentation, have investigated that, and he has been cleared of any things with the SEC. Other companies, we look at every company that comes to us and the incentives or non-incentives to get them, and every deal is a separate deal. We look at it very strongly, and we make no commitments to anyone without taking the taxpayers and our safeguards within our city to keep that strong and not put our taxpayers at risk. And that is true of positron as well as any future companies.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. 30 seconds, Mr. Corbett.
Well, our taxpayers are more at risk with this deal than with any other. I mean, at least with the tax abatement, you're getting some taxes back before you abate the taxes. In this particular case, it's money up front with no guarantee of any return.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds, Mr. Ditslear. Thank you. You'll be happy to know our next question does not have positron in it. What environmental initiatives have you implemented as mayor, or would you implement as mayor? What environmental initiatives have you or would you implement as mayor? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Actually, we have been fairly aggressive, very aggressive actually, in the environmental area. Number one, we have a very successful Sustain Noblesville committee made up of city people, people from the hospital, people from all over our community to work to keep and improve Noblesville as a clean city. We were also given several months ago a Green Award by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and very proud of that. It's the standards are very high to do that, and we have we're a recipient of that. I know of no other cities, not that there are not some, but we're one of the very few cities that did get that award. And our Fire Station 7 is a certified LEED building, so we've done a lot, I think, to and certainly more to do, of course, but a lot to keep Noblesville green and work with the environment. Maple Street's another one with the environmental and the separation of sanitary sewer and sewage.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
Generally, one of the worst polluters are automobiles, and I am totally in favor, in fact, committed to improving our trail system. I believe giving people an alternative transportation mode will not only help increase our health, but at the same time save on emissions. Another initiative that I think ought to be looked at is a recycling program for downtown. We have a residential recycling program, but we don't have a recycling program for businesses, and I think that would be a good initiative to start.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds, Mr. Ditslear.
No.
Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
No.
Thank you. Our next questioner is asking about jobs, about how many or approximately new jobs have gone or will go to, I guess, how many jobs have left Noblesville. I think that's what the questioner means. About how many new jobs have gone or will go to residents of Noblesville, not Fishers or Carmel. That's what the question says.
How many new, I'm sorry.
How many approximately new, and that's underlined, jobs have gone or will go to residents of Noblesville, not Fishers or Carmel? This might be another positron question, we'll have to put positron in it, possibly, so I'm not, I think I will move on. Sometimes it happens that way. What past experiences do you have that makes you a credible candidate for mayor? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Well, thank you. I mentioned in my opening, I have been 40 years in this community and been a public servant in one way or another, or a volunteer in many, many aspects of the city of Noblesville, as well as professional organizations in my prior business, and I mentioned my state activity. I'm involved very much in our city in all areas. I have that experience, I have the dedication, I have the energy to do that, and I've proven that. And I think the other thing that I have brought, or do bring certainly, to the city is a positive attitude about Noblesville. It's important that the mayor set the tone, that we be positive about what's right. We, after all, live in one of the 10th best places in the country to live. And that takes a lot of effort, a lot of work. I have the skills to continue building those relationships with others within the region, within the city. And I know I bring that experience to the mayor's office.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
Well, I think being in the media exposes you to a lot of government officials and a lot of the other organizations throughout the city and the county that help make things happen in government. So I think being in the media and then also being involved in some of these civic organizations really helps give me a good perspective about how to go about managing Noblesville. In the past, my professional experience has been at the corporate level. I've been a manager for about 20 years, working with both large and small corporations, dealing with budgets, also dealing with managing people. I think one of the big things that we really need to think about is how to go about recruiting and managing people, making sure that you're getting the most out of people, making sure that you're holding them accountable. I work in the private sector, have worked in the private sector for my entire life. And you're held to very high standards, and I believe some of those standards could be brought to bear in government as well, and that would help bring them to bear in Noblesville.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. 30 seconds, Mr. Ditslear.
No, thank you.
Mr. Corbett, anything further?
No.
Thank you. Going along with that question as far as the qualification, this questioner wants to know what type of management style would you bring to the office as mayor? And specifically, how would you work with the council and the city departments to have proposals passed and implemented? And then going along with that, what in your management style distinguishes you from your opponents? So what management style do you bring, would you bring, or do you bring as mayor? How would you work with the council and the city departments to, to make changes, needed changes? And then lastly, what distinguishes you in your management style from your opponent? And that goes to you first, Mr. Corbett.
Well, continuing on what I was saying about my previous experience, I think holding department heads and everybody in city government to very high standards is very important. You need to keep people accountable and bring some of the philosophy that private business has about trying to make sure that you make the very best use of your resources. I would bring those to bear in city government. As far as working with the council, I'm a collaborator. I'm a consensus seeker. I'm a pretty good communicator. I rely quite a bit on my powers of persuasion. I think that I would be able to cultivate a very good relationship with city councilors in an effort to make sure that we're looking out for the best interests of Noblesville.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
Yes, my management style, I think, is being a motivator, being a leader, leading by example, and again, trying to inspire people to do their best. In our case, I mentioned our team earlier. Our team, I think, is a great team. They are very well inspired, motivated, and very honestly, they've really stepped up, certainly the last number of years, with about 26 to 28 people down. But nonetheless, everyone goes to work every day and always thinks about the taxpayer and what we can do to improve the city. The relationship with the council is very good. Most of the council people are business people. They're experienced. They know Noblesville. And while, again, we always don't agree, we're able to come to a conclusion. And I am a good listener and have an ability to develop relationships.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
No.
Anything further, Mr. Ditslear? Okay, thank you. And this questioner wants to know specific about your management style, I guess your decision making. What's your position regarding take-home cars and personal use vehicles with no pay to the city for the personal use and gas? Should employees, including public safety personnel, be required to pay for this use? And that goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Public safety-wise, we do have a take-home car policy with our patrol officers. Yes, I think that is very important. It's included in their compensation. That benefit is included within their compensation. They're not taxed for it. But it's important, I think, to, again, show a police presence within our community. And they're, again, our take-home cars. Most of the department heads do not take their cars home. They have the ability sometimes. Most do not. Most of the other departments do not have take-home cars. We can look to a lot to the south here, and it will be with inspectors and those types of folks. So we do not allow take-home cars, and for other than public safety people. Some of the fire division administrative do have take-home vehicles because, again, public safety is on duty 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
Well, certainly in this economic environment, that is a luxury that we can't afford, so I would not be in favor of having department heads take-home cars. Public safety issues, public safety really is number one, so it is important, I believe, and I'd be willing to look at the policy. I'm not 100% sure what the policy is, but if it's necessary for police officers to take home their cars so that they can be more accessible to Noblesville residents on short notice, then I would be in favor of that.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Anything further, Mr. Ditslear?
No.
Mr. Corbett?
No.
Thank you. How would you go about as a leader of the city, getting new blood involved in city efforts so that you don't have the same people doing the same things all the time. Mr. Corbett?
That is a good question. Thank you for asking that question, because frankly, I think that is one area where Noblesville could stand to use a little improvement. For whatever reason, people have not felt like they're engaged in the local government. I think sometimes there's a perception that this is kind of a little club up here where only people who know something about politics or somehow connected get to participate. We, frequently have events. Frankly, this is a pretty good turnout, but I'd like to see way more people. I'd like to see way more people getting involved in the entire political system. So what I would do is just make sure that people know that they're invited, get people involved in volunteer positions, reach out to the outlying communities that aren't always so invested in the downtown, make sure they have a reason to come downtown, get involved in local affairs. I think getting a volunteer effort going would be a great start.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear?
Yes, again, we are open to the public. We have a great relationship with many of the organizations, the boards, commissions, et cetera, that both myself and council appoints are people who are willing to serve. We're constantly looking for new people to serve, and many of those appointments are new to the positions, whether it be the tree board, preservation, whatever. And speaking of volunteers, we have hired someone to implement the vision committee. The results that came out of the committee, and volunteer coordinator is something we're desperately looking for. We're trying to get a grant to compensate that person, so we're very interested in attracting volunteers and trying to coordinate volunteerism within the city of Noblesville.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Anything further, Mr. Corbett?
No, other than it should have been done a long time ago.
Anything further, Mr. Ditslear?
No.
Thank you. How long have you lived in Noblesville, and what changes have you seen, I guess, that you're most proud of? How long have you lived in Noblesville, and what changes have you seen that you're most proud of? It goes to you first, Mr. Ditslear.
I have lived in Noblesville since I was lucky enough to find Noblesville in 1966. I was a young officer out of the Navy, came to Noblesville, Indiana, for graduating from Miami University with a degree in finance. So we were at the time a big dog. We were 7,500 people. Carmel was 5, and Fishers was under 1,000. I remember those days. And we were the big, I'm thinking more of athletics and some of those things. I've seen our community grow, in my opinion, in a good way. And growth, if you don't grow, you're going to die. So I think that I have seen that. I've seen it grow in a very, very positive way. Certainly the last few years, 10 years, we've grown 82%. But we still remain, and our challenge is to remain and have a sense of community. I think we've been successful to do that, even though we're 52,000 people. But we, again, put emphasis on our downtown and gathering people together for fun and activities in the downtown area. And we still have that sense of community that we did when I got here.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. And Mr. Corbett?
I lived in Noblesville for a little over 6 years, and within the time that I've been here, I think what I've seen that I'm most proud of is a lot of the renovation and rejuvenation of some older homes. I got involved with the Noblesville Preservation Alliance shortly after I moved here, and eventually ended up buying an old home myself, and I'm fixing it up. There's a duplex right down south of us here on 10th Street that, frankly, at one point I remember a city councilor asking me if it wasn't just a tear down. And I said, we've got to find somebody who can fix it up. And somebody did actually come and fix it up. And not only did he fix it up, but he liked the community so much that he stayed, and he's going to continue to renovate homes in the future. So I would say that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Anything further, Mr. Ditslear?
No, thank you.
Mr. Corbett?
No.
Okay, this is going to be our last question. And of course, it's going to be a combined question. What's your first priority if re-elected or elected? And what's the last thing you hope to accomplish when leaving the mayor's office? And then, in another vein, Another questioner wanted, it was mentioned in the council forum that Noblesville would grow to 100,000. And so this questioner wants to know whether you agree or disagree with that. So your first priority, if elected or re-elected, and what's the last thing you want to accomplish? And then the prediction for the future about 100,000. That goes to you first, Mr. Corbett.
The first priority is to light a fire under economic development here, meaning hire an economic development director, give them the task of going out and recruiting businesses more aggressively, both in the corporate campus and for downtown. The very last thing I would like to see, I guess, if I were, when I go out of office, I would like to know that we have connected all of our trails. That is something that is sorely lacking here in Noblesville, and something that we absolutely need to do, to the point of where our trail system is a genuine transportation system. Not just an opportunity to get out and get a little exercise on your bike, but they actually go places. I have some ideas that I think would work for an enhanced transportation, alternative transportation system that includes trains, trails, and better roads. That would be the thing that the very last thing that I would like to look at as I'm looking at the end of my tenure as mayor in Noblesville.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Mr. Ditslear.
My first priority certainly would be to keep our city financially strong and build that and keep that reputation, keep the bond rating where we are for the benefit of the taxpayers, have our growth be mostly in the commercial area. Obviously, you have to have residential to have commercial, but certainly add jobs to the city of Noblesville and continue in the tremendous effort we have done the last several years to bring jobs and commercial development and value to the city of Noblesville. The last thing, I guess, when I leave, I simply want to make sure, and I feel that way, to make sure that we are the same community from a sense of community standpoint, that we really care about people, that we remain the diverse community that we are, and continue that diversity. I would have to say that. The 100,000 was brought up in the council. We have grown 82% in the last 10 years, according to our census. I don't see that growth continuing quite that much, and if it's less than 100, it's less than 100, but again, it must be smart growth.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Anything further? Mr. Corbett, 30 seconds.
It'll be quite a challenge if we're at 100,000 people to try and keep a sense of the small community and the historic core of Noblesville, and so we need to focus on that. We need to make sure that no matter what happens on the outside, we're still focusing on the community that people have come to know and love in Noblesville, which is its downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Anything further? Mr. Ditslear. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we're now going to move to the closing statements, and each candidate will have 1 minute to wrap it up. And we start with you first, Mr. Ditslear.
Thank you very much. I think in my term as mayor, we have proven the leadership abilities to have this community move forward. It's been very progressive and very much so. I think I have the character, the integrity to continue to lead this city. We certainly have the team, an excellent team, I'm prepared to no other, to continue what we've done in the past and continue to do it in the future as well. We are very aggressive in marketing the city of Noblesville and bring people to Noblesville that we know and love as well. If you do think things are good in Noblesville, I think your choice this evening is, if this didn't happen by accident, by perhaps some leadership was involved, I would ask you for your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ditslear. Mr. Corbett.
I would like to leave you with this thought. The campaign finance reports are out for each of our campaigns. They were just filed last Friday. And in the past 6 months, the mayor has raised $47,000 for his campaign. And of that money, only $6,000 was raised from Noblesville people. To put that in perspective, over the past just 3 months, because we've only had this campaign going for 3 months, my campaign has raised $5,000, almost as much in half the time. I believe that's a reflection of the fact that this is a grassroots effort. This campaign is a campaign that's generated by the people. And I will mention that they are also all small, very small denominations. The rules are that if you donate $100 or less, you don't have to report your name. That's important to some people because they're afraid of retribution, to be honest with you. So I believe this is a grassroots effort. I believe I'm bringing I'm leading an effort here from the people to help bring their community back around and help Noblesville achieve its potential. I would appreciate your vote. I think we'll prevail in November, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. At this time, I'd like to thank members of the League of Women Voters. I'd like to thank Ethel Folger and Marsha Doherty, who are our awesome timers this evening. Patrice Wagner, Mary Briggs, and Lorraine Jensen for collecting questions and helping to organize this forum. Let's please give both gentlemen a round of applause for their participation.